Matt, have you ever watched Samurai Jack?
Yes, I have. I wasn't allowed to watch it when I was younger, just because violence and things like that.
Violence
Yeah, like
against what? Robots?
I don't know. My parents were afraid it was gonna desensitize me.
Oh my goodness.
That didn't come until like 2006, so I don't know. But uh, last year in college, I was actually running out of shows to watch, so I actually watched all of Samurai Jack, and that was probably one of the greatest cartoons I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is nothing short of a work of art. The art style from the moment I saw like the very first image of Samurai Jack, I want to say back in like 2000. Um, the art style was so unique. I didn't know if it was American or Japanese in origin. Um, and then when it came out, I want to say they did this premiere of they had the pilot, and the pilot was like 90 minutes long. It was like the length of 3 episodes, and they kept playing it on Encore one weekend, and I kept watching it over and over and over. It was even then, I was in my mid-teens, and I had no issues watching this. I was thinking like, oh, this is a cartoon. What do I care? Um, it never, I never thought of it like that. And and what's so great about it is it doesn't matter if you're an adult. It doesn't matter if you're, like a 5-year-old kid. I would, recommend this to anybody. He uses a sword and he cuts up robots, and like their oil spills out like blood, but it's oil, and I just love how they get away with stuff by making, hey, he's slicing up robots. Um, Now apparently, did you I sent you the link, but did you actually watch the little featurette that Gendy Tartakovsky did about season 5?
I didn't. I really wanted to,
That's
but
okay. I'll fill you in. So, he did mention offhandedly, and it's not in the article, but this is actually going to be airing on Adult Swim, not it, which is the, any almost anything goes part of Cartoon Network. And actually, the only piece of art that I could find is a bearded version of Jack covered in blood in the rain, and he looks awesome. And I'm glad that they're going this route. That they're doing it, and they said they were going to go for a darker, moodier, more emotional feel to this to the season. I don't know if they're going to finish it up in season 5, but he did state that season 4 ends on episode 52, and you don't have to like watch episode 52 to understand what's going to be going on with season 5 episode 1. You don't have to be caught up with Samurai Jack. And they'll probably do some kind of recap. Um, but they didn't really talk a whole lot about much about anything else. Just the mood that they were going to go for, even though they're drawing it completely digitally now, whereas before a lot of the backgrounds were done by hand. Um, they said that they're going to try their best to make it not seem like a digital cartoon, which is what all cartoons are nowadays. They look too clean. It all looks like, Homestar Runner. It's just so clean that it's just like little pieces of animation being moved around and in a program, not like done with traditional 2D animation. And while it looks very clean and very pretty, it does lose something in that. So that's great to hear that they're going to try to keep it artwork style as close to the original. They did say that Jack has a more more realistic dimensions to it. The only thing I ever had problems with the original show's artwork were his fingers. Like his fingers were in the shape of like these long rectangles that actually got wider towards his fingertips, and then they would like cap off at a weird angle, and then they would just draw a triangle for his fingernails. And that always bugged me, the way that they drew his hands. Everything else I love about it. I cannot wait for this. All it says in the article, I believe, is that it's going to start. It's going to air later this year, and they announced it all the way back in December. It's been 12 years since season 4 aired. Phil Lamar, of course, is returning as the voice of Samurai Jack, which he never really has much to say, except simply, Haku, I will fight you and defeat you. And that's it. That's all he has to say. And unfortunately, of course, the original voice actor for Aku, Mako, passed away. I think back in 07 or 08, somewhere around there. So they chose to get and I'm glad about this, because Genndy Tartakovsky, the director, said that at first they were thinking of going with a whole different direction for Aku's voice, and then they decided, no, let's just get someone who can, find the best impersonator for Aku. And even though he's no replacement for Mako, it's still, they're shooting for that same, Aku character. And I always loved his voice. I could never really imitate it very, very well, but I would like, if you're a pet owner, you understand this. But I talk to my pets, I'd be like, little samurai cat, you will not escape me forever. Wah! And then of course the cat would run away. I'd love doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm psyched for this. I'm glad that it's finally being done. They were going to do a movie, actually, all the way back in since like 2005. They've been wanting to get a movie done for it, but it never got off the ground. And apparently he's in between projects. Genndy Tartakovsky's actually done the Hotel Transylvania series, which I didn't know. Those are two very, very successful CG films for kids. So now he's in between projects and he's getting this done. So, woohoo!
Yeah, there were definitely a few concerns I had with this when I heard about it, mainly because they brought back a few TV shows, a few cartoons back from what I want to call the golden age of cartoons, just like where cartoons just got it right and just, they were so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even as like a boy in like elementary school or middle school, I had no problem, or like I didn't have a second thought about saying it's like Powerpuff Girls is one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome. And like Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack.
I think the movie was weird though for Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, there's a few things that's weird, and then just so much Teen Titans.
The original, not the Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, no, Teen Titans Go is garbage, and they've even said it. Like, there was an episode of Teen Titans Go where they were like, "Hey, remember when we were cool?" I'm like, shut up. You don't get to say that. You can't sit there and be like, hey, remember when we were good? Yeah. Whew. Like, no. Like, that's what I want. But to see this, like, I watched this in college as I would have watched it, like, this, even though I didn't watch it as a kid back then, which I would have been, like, 8 or something. I was like 8 or 7. I tried to like put myself back in the mindset of like an 8 or 7-year-old kid watching this samurai just like cut down robots and just he goes through time and does like all this cool stuff, and it's probably one of the greatest things ever, like one of the greatest stories ever told for little boys from ages between like elementary to middle school, because it has everything just amazing and everything that like little kids back then liked. It had robots, it had samurais, it was in the future, there was an evil demon spirit guy who was the main villain, and the show was just so good. And when I first heard about this, I was really afraid that we were going to get another like, oh, remember that cartoon back in your childhood that was really good, like Powerpuff Girls? Yeah, we're going to make it more modern now. And we're going to take everything away from what made it a cool show.
And completely ruin it.
Ruined it. I haven't seen a single episode of that, and I was actually planning on actually like watching some, and then someone told me that there was like an episode where they started twerking. I was like, cool, they ruined that. Teen Titans Go, they ruined that. Um, Kind of just throwing us out there. It wasn't really back in that age, but like Ben 10, the original show, I loved that as a kid. I think that came in like 2006 or something. The newest version of that was weird. I didn't like it. There's just so many cartoons that were like, and that's a problem with most like media nowadays, especially in like movies or TV shows. They're like, oh, those things were really popular back then, and everyone loved them. Now that they're older, and there's a lot more pop culture things that we can shove in their face, let's just remake them, and it'll be better. It'll be the same. It's like, no, no, it won't.
Yeah, they
And that's
don't
one of
really.
the things that I was really afraid of about this. Knowing that it's going to be on Adult Swim makes me so much happier because a problem with most cartoons nowadays on like Cartoon Network and stuff. Okay, now that it's a good thing, I'm not saying that violence is ever an okay thing or something that is okay to do, but cartoons, it's okay to have violence. Like Justice League, watching that, Justice League Ultimate, that was one of my favorite cartoons watching as a kid. And there was violence everywhere. Every episode had violence. And I never once grew up and like started a fight with someone or became this evil murderer psycho because I watched a cartoon with violence in it. Like, no.
Yeah.
Looking at cartoons now, none of them have like I think the closest thing to violence that I've seen that's kind of okay is Steven's Universe. And even that's like a little iffy with like some people. But like I've looked at cartoons and like they're all kind of not really slices of life, but it's close. It's more slice of life than any like action cartoon. Like there's no cartoon nowadays that's just it's good, 8-year-old action that even a grown adult such as myself can enjoy. But to see Samurai Jack, like I can see an image of him. I'm looking at an image of him right now. He looks amazing. He looks like he just killed 20 people.
Yeah.
And I love that this isn't going to be on Cartoon Network. It's going to be on Adult Swim because, like you said, you can do anything on Adult Swim, and a lot of people do as much as they can on Adult Swim, which isn't good, especially with some things. But I love that they're giving themselves freedom, and this looks like it's going to be aimed for the audience that watched it back then,
Right.
but now they're older, so you know,
If you were a kid watching this, now, you're probably in your late teens,
yeah,
and now you're going to get, something that's
something
mo-
awesome.
something more that's what you're looking for.
Exactly. This is going to go back to the old school cartoon style of just a samurai on one mission to defeat this evil guy, and instead of having like oil come out of like robots because they couldn't do blood because it was a kid's cartoon, which that's understandable. I have nothing wrong with that. The original cartoon was still amazing, but this, just looking at him in the rain with a sword with potential blood all over him, it's just so cool. And I love that they now have as much freedom to do with it, whatever they want with it, because I want to say the closest thing to Samurai Jack, probably not in this like the story sense, but just in like the way the show is, would probably be an anime called Samurai Champloo.
Mm-hmm. I remember that one.
I really want Samurai Jack to be kind of like that, in the sense of like violence. Like Samurai Champloo wasn't super gory, but when
It's
they
a little
cut
bit
people,
too stylized. Like, I don't want it to be like, the whole, like, you know what I'm talking about, with the character designs and, like, the completely historically inaccurate
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I'm talking like the violence. Like
Yeah.
I actually, since it's going to be an Adult Swim and it looks like there's blood, I want to see blood. I want to see Jack kill someone because that would be awesome. And now I sound like a crazy murderer person.
Well,
But
it seems like they also said that this is several years later
Yeah.
Like when this picks up in season 5, it will be several years since we've seen Jack. They didn't say how long exactly it's been, but he's basically, trying to survive in this world that's been ruined by Aku, and it's basically gotten to him, and he's to a point where he needs to be reminded about, what his whole point is. And it seems like he may be to the point where he's been hunted so much that all he cares about is survival. And I think that'd be really cool to see this character be put in that situation and then have to kind of like find his way back to find his purpose again.
Going into like another anime, but kind of like a Guts mentality of just
I
being
haven't
like
seen
hunted.
Guts.
Oh,
I'm sorry, did I just
that hurt a little bit.
deflate you?
I know what it's like when I tell you I haven't played Final Fantasy VII now. Okay, well, never mind. But
Maybe
that's
the
kind of like a
viewers out
similar
there
thing.
know.
It's like Guts is like on a mission. He's always being attacked and hunted by demons, and he's trying to like get to the source, which is like this evil spirit, and he's trying to like finish them off. Except for Samurai Jack, he's like 3,000 years into the future with no friends or allies.
Yeah. Can't wait. Cannot wait.